Tism number one. Tism red flag number one. I've always been really awkward in photos, right? And I feel like this is kind of a universal feeling that we all have, but it's really, really bad. Really, really bad. It's really bad. Like compared to, so if I take a group photo, right? I will look back on the photo knowing that I felt normal when taking the photo, right? I felt like I looked good, it was flattering, whatever. I was looking at the camera, I was smiling. I would look back and compared to all the people, other people in the group photo, I look very weird. Like, for instance, when I take photos, my chin, sometimes I put my chin up too high. And I think that I'm level with the camera, but for some reason, I'm like this. I will not be smiling, quote unquote, right. Like, I'll smile like this, thinking that I'm doing a full smile. Just stuff like that. And okay. This is, this makes me a little bit angry, okay? Because growing up, it made me a little frustrated to see in my teen years, like in my teenage years, all the girls, or like quote unquote popular girls, they were taking these photos that just effortless photos. Like they would just literally stand in front of the camera and look good. And that was never something I could do. I don't know if it's because they practice in the mirror or something, or they just have some kind of like file that they downloaded into their brain that's like, oh yes, pose this way and the photo look good. I don't know. It was just kind of annoying because I wanted to post these good pictures of me and my friends or whatever, and I just felt like it's not that I ruined the photo, but I just wanted to look like how I look like in real life, you know. But it was frustrating because it feels like you look normal and then you don't. I think also it came to my attention when I was younger because my family commented on it. They would say because I used to my natural smile, like how I wanted to smile was like this. Like just a little baby smile. A little no teeth, nothing. My whole one side of my family, they all smile like that. We call it the Bastion smile. That's my last name by the way. Don't look me up. Yeah. So we all smile like that. And it's because I think that they all have a little bit of something, like a little ADHD or something on that side. Because there's this thing called the ADHD smile, and it's a little like little baby smile, like I was showing you guys. For some reason, we all just smile like that. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? Anyways, so second of all, I've also had this really weird thing where I've never been able to get along very well with this certain group of people, and it's a lot of people that I don't get along with. Like I would say like a good half of people ish, probably less than that. Maybe like maybe 30% of people. So every like no, actually yeah, half. Maybe every 5 and 10 people that I come across, I just can't vibe with. And I always knew this. I always knew this that I just kind of came to terms with the fact that I'm never gonna get along with everybody. Like it seems like everybody else can. It seemed like when I was growing up, all the other girls could just talk to other people and like strike up a really good conversation, have a lot of charisma, whatever. And that was not me. And I realized it's because I got ADHD and a little bit of autism. And that means that usually we get along best with people who are like us. So I couldn't get along very well with neurotypical people because what I would find is when I tried to talk to neurotypical people, what ends up happening is we both try to talk about something that we like, and neither of us really like or approach that thing in the same way. So we could both like, we could actually, no, it's actually, yeah, we could both like something like, I don't know, we both like sewing. We both like sewing, but we both approach it in very, very different ways. So I feel like my approach to, as a neurodivergent person, to sewing, for example, would be I would want to talk about all the things you can make with sewing. What her favorite I don't know. What's her sewing machine that she uses? What's her favorite thing that she's made? And a very neurotypical way to approach it would be very superficial. So that's what I'm gonna say about it. They would ask very superficial things, and it doesn't seem usually to me, usually, not all the time, that they actually want to talk about it with you. It seems like they're not very passionate to talk about it with you. They may like it, but don't want to talk about the deep things. And I'm very, very I'm someone who loves to talk to get to know people on a deep level, like right away, right? So like one of my things to quote unquote test people, I'm I'm not this calculated, right? But this is a good way that I can test if somebody is gonna get along with me or if I'm gonna get along with them. I'll ask them some kind of really arbitrary question, and usually neurodivergent people are always we kind of already have arbitrary thoughts and feelings about the world, so it's very natural for us to talk about very random things in a deep level because we're expecting it, right? Because it's already in our heads. Does that make sense? I feel like I sound crazy. But so if I will ask somebody like maybe it's my second time meeting them, maybe they're a coworker or something. I love to ask really weird questions to kind of throw someone off and see how they respond. Okay, humans are really really funny. I actually really like humans because you can kind of play around with people, not in like a manipulative way, but in a fun way. I'll ask them something crazy like, if you could be a fruit, what would you be? Something weird like that. Something that's not a normal question to ask somebody who just met. And the way that they respond tells me if I'm gonna get along with them or not. Like if they respond with, "Ooh, I would be a pineapple because of this reason and this reason." Oh my gosh, I hate pineapple on pizza. Do you like pineapple on pizza? Because blah 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 blah. And then we go on, we go on, we go on. Right? We're like going off each other's random thoughts. We can follow each other along as we scatter. Like this is neurotypical conversation. No, 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 no. This is neurodivergent conversation. And the neurodivergent will meet me here and here and here and here all while we're breaking conversation. Neurotypical people have a hard time following that, right? That's definitely the ADHD. But anyways, bit of a tangent. Let's move on to the next one. So I've also always had very, very close friends, if I have friends at all. So this is something that I kind of felt a little sad about for a long time. Now I'm actually very grateful for it because I realize that it's actually better to have a very small group of people that you're very close with than to have a bunch of friends and a bunch of acquaintances and you don't really feel close to them. It always takes me a very, very long time to trust people. And I am not really somebody who has trust issues. Why did I say it like that? Trust issues. There we go. That's the right intonation. Uh, but it takes me a long time of being around somebody, being in their bubble, to feel like I'm really comfortable with them. And I'm not sure why that is. I find that other people, quote unquote normal people, they can hang out with somebody a couple times a week for a month and then feel like they're best friends. That's not me. That's not me at all. I wish. This is the part that kind of sucks is it takes me months and months and months, maybe even a year to feel like I'm best friends with somebody and really close with them, even if I hang out with them several times a week. I think rather than the quality of time we spend together, it's the amount of time we spend together. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just I have to get comfortable with their energy or something. I don't know. But yeah. So my best friend right now, we actually worked together for a whole year. A whole year. I didn't start feeling comfortable enough to call her my best friend until 6 months in to working each other and seeing each other like 3 times a week and being in the same position too. So we were both in the same job, literally shoulder to shoulder for like 6 months. That's always been a thing for me with people. Is I always like I'm very specific with the people I'm friends with too. They have to be somebody that I can feel like I can just be myself around, not have to like fake it, aka mask. And yeah, I think it's also always been really hard for me to leave the house to hang out with people that I am not comfortable with yet. So I noticed that the people that I do not get along with super 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 well, like really well, like we have really great chemistry. I tend to fall off with those people because I this is really bad actually, but I tend to make excuses so that we don't hang out. And that sounds really really bad. Yeah, that actually is pretty bad. um, but it's because I realize that I can see before they see it that our relationship is not going to go anywhere. I can see that we might be acquaintances, but we will never be really close because we on both sides, neither of us are gonna vibe with each other as much as we each want to with somebody, right? So I just save the hardship and I just don't continue the friendship. You know what? That's not even that bad. That's not that bad. That's just picking and choosing what people you want in your life. That's okay. That's okay. If you're like that too, then it's pretty okay. Um, yeah. So it takes me a long time to trust people. I've also always known if somebody is quote unquote good or bad right when I meet them. And this isn't tooting my own horn. This actually can be a bad thing because it uh it's not that I judge people when I first meet them, but it definitely changes the way I see people when I know that they have like a big ego or something. So like when I first meet somebody, say it's a new coworker or something, I can already tell just two sentences in if they have a big ego or something, or even on the good side of things, if they're a good person. Like I already know. This is the great thing, right? I already know when I meet somebody if we're gonna be best friends. Like two sentences in. And this is the amazing thing. If I didn't have ADHD or autism, I would not have this. Very likely, I would not have this because it's pattern recognition. And that is something that neurodivergent people tend to have in very high quantities, like me. Um, yeah. So pattern recognition is a good thing actually because you can pick and choose who you want to be friends with, and it's a really good use of your energy too because you know it's going to go somewhere. Next one is social gatherings were always really weird for me. So what I mean by this is I remember since I was probably conscious, Loki, a conscious little human, I was always aware and worried about how I looked to other people and if I looked normal, how I should talk, when I should talk, if I should say this joke now, if I should interrupt this person now, and all these little things. I was very aware of it, but I didn't know how to do it, right? And that's the tricky thing, and that's where the autism comes in. I was very aware that I was weird, but I didn't know how to be unweird, right? Yeah, and I remember feeling that with people that I don't really know, with people. So this is the thing with my close friends that happen to also be neurodivergent. I don't feel this way with them because we're all just really fucking weird together. And that's the great thing about it. You can make your own little weird friend group and you can all be weird together. But oh yeah, so people have my friends have said that I'm a funny person. I am not going to say if that's correct or not because I have no idea. I have no self-awareness in that department. But I think the reason that that is because I notice that people will laugh at things I say, not laugh at me, but laugh at the things I say. Very big difference. When I say serious things, like when I mean something, when I really mean it, and I'm not saying it as a joke, people will laugh at it, and it's because I have zero timing. I don't know, like because of the autism, I don't know when the right time is to say something. So I might say some really arbitrary thing. Like this literally happened the other day with my friend. I was like, my pits stink, goddamn. And I meant it completely seriously, and she laughed, thinking I was making a joke. Maybe it was just genuinely funny. I don't even know. But there have been times where I say something completely seriously and they will laugh and I kind of like get startled a little bit. I'm like, "Oh, why are you laughing?" Like I won't actually say that. I just kind of laugh with them, but I don't know why they're laughing, you know? And it also goes with the unfortunate reality of trying to be a funny little prankster and the joke doesn't land because you can't figure out the right timing. And being funny is all about timing is what I've learned, and I still have not gotten it down. Still, nope, nope. And I might not ever get it down, and that's okay. But yeah, so timing with autism kind of sucks. So also another thing was as a kid, and even now, I have always wanted to spend a lot of time outside or like with nature, with animals. And I have thought about this. I don't think it's because of necessarily because nature and animals are there. Like I think if humans didn't exist, my connection to animals and nature and stuff would actually be less, probably. Like I wouldn't feel as much of a passion for them. And it's because I think because I never really got along with most humans that my like animals were my fallback plan. There we go. So, because I couldn't connect with people, I couldn't make friends very easy. I just always kind of felt way better with animals, and I think it's because they don't have all these rules, right? Like they don't have like dogs don't have a little dog society where they have capitalism and a monetary system and social hierarchy and jobs and going to school. Like they don't have any of that. They kind of just sit there and they chill out, and I love that. And they're also very unconditional. Like with people, it's like there some you will meet very few gems in your life, very few gems of people that love unconditionally and don't have any ulterior motive. And dogs don't have ulterior motive. Hey, if your dog has ulterior motives, let me know because that's kind of crazy. But yeah. So I think a lot of that also had to do with wanting to know how things worked. And I think so with animals and nature and everything, it's very like what you see is what you get. Like there's no the trees aren't gossiping behind your back, you know. Like there's like I don't know, the animals aren't creating a scheme or something. I don't know. You guys know what I mean. It's very like I feel like I sound crazy talking about this. I feel like I sound really crazy. But yeah, humans are hard to understand. And so that's why I like animals. I like dogs. I like animals. I like cats. I like all animals. Anyways. And they also like me. And that's not me just tooting my own horn. This is something that I've genuinely noticed. It was a very weird phenomenon. I was literally sitting at the Starbucks at my school at my campus. I'm in Florida, right? So it's hot all year round. It never gets below about 50 degrees here. 50 degrees would be very cold for here. And so there's a lot of stray animals. So I remember just last week, I was sitting at Starbucks and I had my notebook out on the table. It's like a picnic table outside. And there's a lot of stray cats and something and stuff. And sometimes they'll come up to you and ask for a pet, but they usually just kind of you get one pet in and then they walk away. Is what I've noticed with other people. But this there was this one cat that came up. He was the only cat around at that time, and he came up and jumped up onto the table. I was just minding my business, right? I was just chilling out with my headphones in and trying to study. And this cat comes, I'm sitting right in front of my notebook. He comes and lays down on my notebook right in front of me and closes his eyes and just goes to sleep. Like this is a feral cat we're talking about. Like this isn't like what? And I'm a very strong believer in that animals can feel your energy. And I think that they can feel if you're somebody who loves animals and is just like cats are different too because in order to like cats, this is why if somebody tells me that they don't like cats, if they don't have an allergy, I it's a red flag to me, right? Because cats are very boundary driven. Cats are kind of just like there in your space, and that's how they show that they love you. And sometimes they don't want to be pet, and you just have to respect their boundaries. They're very like they're a lot like people actually, but without the talking and without the nuance. And so when somebody tells me they don't like cats, that usually 95% of the time it usually means that they're not good with boundaries and they don't know they don't really care about your boundaries. Like if you say no, they won't really care. If you say no to something or I don't know. Anyway, so this cat like just came and laid down on my notebook and I tried to move him. I was petting him of course because he was a cute cat. But I actually tried to very gently move him so I could study cuz my notebook, that was the only thing I had to study right then and there. My notebook was the only way I could study that material. I tried to move him to get my notebook, and he just came right back. He just laid right back down, and I don't know. It was just very weird. But he just stayed there the entire time and just like closed his eyes and just trusted me. And that's a common thing. Like when I go to people's houses, the cat might sit on my lap or the dog might come up to me and just sit right next to me. I don't know what that is, but I think it is an energy thing. I think people who like they can just tell when you are somebody who doesn't expect anything from them. Like I don't expect if I want to pet the cat, okay, but if the cat doesn't want to be pet, I'm going to respect that. Like I don't go out of my way to try and pet them and make them feel uncomfortable. Anyways, that was a bit of a tangent. We talked about nature. Oh yeah, I also always wanted to know how things work. I think that's where I was going with this whole thing. Is I always wanted to know how people worked, how society worked, how whatever worked. I remember being as a kid, like I wouldn't necessarily take apart the toys because I knew I'd get in trouble, but I would like imagine how the inside of the toy looked and how it moved and how it did that one thing, like how the toy talked, or maybe how if you pulled the string of a car, how it when you let go, it just goes and drives on its own. I was always very interested on that. I remember like when it comes to learning about how everything works, I was way more invested in that than my fellow peers. I remember I had this like 3-inch big book of human anatomy from my mom because she used to be a nurse. I would sit in bed every single night like a ritual, like a freaking religious maniac, and I would read this book from front to back every single night. I wouldn't necessarily read every single passage or whatever, but I would just flip through, like seeing the general, like how the brain worked, how what muscles are in your leg, how your arm moves, like how it lifts something. I was always really interested in that. And I wonder if it's because I wanted to know how people worked because I couldn't get along with people, right? Like I felt that I should learn everything I can about people so that I can finally get along with them, but that's not how it works. I remember I also had a lot of like really really big passions. Like I would learn. I remember my school library, we had fact books. I would read every single fact book they had in the library like 3 times over and for no reason. Like it's not even like this was for an assignment or anything. Same with the anatomy book. I just liked learning and I liked learning how things work. And the fact books thing kind of came useful later in life because I could say random facts about things and I just knew a lot about a lot of different things. And so it came useful like in certain situations, but yeah. Yeah, that's that. I've also I can tell I'm getting really tired. I've already I tried to record this video before. I don't know if I said this early in the video, but I tried to record this video earlier before and the mic literally didn't pick up anything. It didn't pick up a single audio, a single word. So I have to redo it and now my brain is absolutely fried. Anyways, last point. So when I was a kid, I was also deathly afraid of the dark, like going to sleep in the dark. I would always have a nightlight and stuff. And actually, this is really, really freaking embarrassing. But I'm still actually a little bit of afraid of the dark. And it's because of my hyper imagination. Because I, like, as a kid too, my brain would actually make me see things. And I wouldn't go as far to call it a hallucination. But, like, say if there was a chair in my room and it was making a shadow on the wall, my brain would literally trick me into thinking the shadow was waving. Like I remember seeing shadows and they would move and stuff and make shapes. And that is 100% just because I have a lot of big imagination. And it can be really, really good because it helps me in my creative facets, like with my Etsy, to think of things, like think of new ideas. Like say I want to make a new pair of earrings. Like literally this pair right here. This is not me plugging my Etsy because it's actually on hold right now. It's on I actually don't even know if I'll restart it. But with this pair of earrings right here, uh can you see it? I don't know. Yeah. I was in class, I think, thinking about how I could make them. And I was thinking like, oh, to make the pots. So this is plastic, right? It starts as a sheet of paper thin plastic. and I have to print it out and cut it and then shrink it down and mold it. And so I was thinking in class, I was like, so how can I make this pot out of a sheet of plastic? And so I thought, oh, I'll have to make a circle and then mold the circle, like shrink the circle, put three holes in it, and then mold it into the thing. And this entire time, right, this whole process doesn't actually matter for the video, but this whole time, the point is, I can see it in my head, and I can when I'm just sitting here with my eyes open, I can see myself putting the thing together and drawing it and whatever. So it can be really, really good for like if you're actually, I bet if I wasn't so horrible at math, I would be a good engineer because of this. But yeah, I hate math. Anyways, math is really hard for me to understand because there's no visuals. That's the one problem with hyperimagination or hyperphantasia, whatever you want to call it. I need visuals for everything. So I was talking about this. I think in the Q&A that I'm gonna post. I think this is the video I was talking about it in. But I with my schoolwork, I need to convert everything to a visual to actually understand it. So if I have a teacher that just wants to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and not show any visuals, I have a really hard time and I cannot follow her at all. So that's the part that kind of sucks. Yeah. A hooey bit and embarrassing. I've also this actually putting on this chapstick reminds me of it. But I've also always been really particular about the way my body feels. So like, oh, that's a good example right there with my nose ring. The open part of the ring was out, and so I had to stop saying what I was saying just to fix it. Or yeah, I couldn't keep making the video without putting chapstick on because then I can feel my dry lips and that's going to distract me from whatever I'm trying to think of. So yeah, I think because I have that, because I need to feel comfortable in my body all the time in order to focus, it can make me look really weird to people too. Like me putting on chapstick every 30 minutes. It's not actually every 30 minutes, but it's pretty frequently. I also drink water all the time so that I don't feel dehydrated. I have a really big problem with dehydration actually. I think I need to go get checked out. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of mm, yeah. I remember in middle school I used to wear skinny jeans, which to me sounds like a nightmare now. But I refused to wear anything else but skinny jeans because that was what was comfortable at the time. And now it's like I refuse to wear skinny jeans because it's not comfortable. I will only wear baggy jeans if I wear jeans. I don't even like jeans really because they're so tight. I don't like tight clothing anymore. But yeah. I think that's all I had to say. I also want to add in here that I know you guys have been waiting for the Q&A answers. I took the video like a week and a half ago. I should have published it like 4 days ago, but I've been trying to edit it, and the ADHD has been really, really bad lately. It's not an excuse at all, but I've been doing it in chunks. I've been like sitting down to do it, and then I'll get distracted and go do something else. And so I'm gonna finish editing it today now that I said it. But yeah, so I know you guys have been waiting. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I also haven't been very consistent lately. Life is just all over the place right now. Like I'm in between jobs. My school's been insane. So yeah, just bear with me. I promise it's coming. I promise. I promise. Thank you guys. But yeah, uh, go do something fun today. Go do something that you've wanted to do for a long time. I've been trying to get back into skateboarding. I'm kind of scared to do it because I don't want to fall and look like a fool. Yeah, I should just do it. Just do the thing and don't be afraid to be seen trying. Dang, that was philosophical. Okay. All right. See you guys in the next one, or maybe not. If this is the first and last time you see me, I hope you have a great day and a great week and a great life. Goodbye forever.